Hi, welcome back everybody. So we are going to talk about building code regulations and building permits. If you've been following along, the last one was police power. I will put the title up in the video picture so you have an idea where we're at, because I don't think YouTube is posting these in order. All right, in this lesson, we're going to look at building and fire code regulations and how they are enforced through the building permit process. I'm not sure how many questions on the test there's going to be on this. I don't recall seeing any, but it's part of the class that you have to take to take your real estate exam. The purpose of the building codes is to ensure a safe, properly functioning environment for the building's occupants. Let's look at our resource. Okay, building and fire codes. There's another form of land use control meant to protect the public. And Jerry raised his hand and answered, to ensure a safe, properly functioning environment for building occupants. The code includes standards for condition, occupancy, maintenance, rehabilitation, and renewal of existing buildings. All right. Without these fire codes, unscrupulous builders and their subs might cut corners on safety, which could lead to fire and even death. So there has to be a state and local code to cover these situations. And this is not specific to one state. This is all over the country. Now, internationally, I don't know. But building codes addresses the method of construction, the material they use, and the safety and sanity of the standards of a building. There are building departments that enforce these building codes. They do so by enforcing code restrictions and requiring licensing and insurance for contractors, which is one of the reasons that a lot of contractors have to take certifications and tests to make sure that they understand what the laws are and that they abide by these requirements. It's true for both residential and commercial properties, and usually this authority will be your local building department. Construction plans must be approved before the building or renovation begin on a project. To get a permit, you must submit drawings and plans for your project to the building department. If they're approved, the department will issue a permit, which you have to display at the job site. While you are working on your project, expect to be visited by a local government inspector who will ensure you're doing the right job. If you're doing a good job, your gold star is your certificate of occupancy. And this is issued after a satisfactory final inspection, which actually allows people to live in whatever you build. So the purpose of building codes is to ensure a safety, properly functioning environment. If there's a conflict regarding national or local building codes, the less strict code prevails. I would say false on that. If there is no state or local code to cover a situation, the national code applies. All right, so we got all them right. If you want to take a screenshot of these questions, be sure and do that now. A lot of this is common sense, right? We want to have safe buildings to live in. Building code standards. The building code addresses the construction method, materials used, and a building's safety and sanitary. Select the item that is not an example. I would say appraisal amount. Correct. Appraisal has nothing to do with safety and sanitary standards. If you're confused, we did a whole section on appraisals like last month. Responsibilities in the building process. Okay, as part of the building permit process, local building departments and the builder or property owner have specific responsibilities. Review each statement and match it to the correct box. Okay, enforces code restrictions and licensing and insurance requirements for contractors, thereby enforcing the building code. I think the local the local building department would ensure and enforce code restrictions, not a property owner. Decide which projects require a permit or approval. Obtain a building permit for a residential or commercial property before building or renovating your job site. So if you're a property owner and you want to renovate, you have to get a building permit. Okay, so the local building department is the one who regulates these permits, restrictions, and licensing and insurance requirements. A property owner has to get one of these building permits if they want to, renovate their home. Is basically what that's saying there. All right, interstate land sales. So what happens if your client finds land that's a perfect investment, but it's located in another state? The Interstate Land Sales Full Disclosure Act regulates the sale of unimproved lots across state lines. This act attempts to prevent fraud by requiring certain information to be provided to the purchasers of that land. And the developers register their projects with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Since the buyer may be purchasing the land sight unseen, the required disclosures of registration prevents someone from marketing lots fraudulently. And this is probably happening a lot in our online environment right now. You know, these people are posting these lots and lands online, and you need to make sure that they're actually legitimate land and they're not just putting a picture up there and trying to get your money. So I'm sure this happens more than we know. People come from other countries and they don't know nothing about the laws here, and they could definitely be taken. Interstate land sales. So the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development notes several exemptions to this act. Cemetery lot sales, sale or lease of lot to builders, sale or lease of improved lots with a residential commercial condominium. To prevent fraudulent activity, developers have to register any subdivisions that have 100 or more non-exempt lots with this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And then before a buyer signs a purchase contract, the developer has to give the buyer a disclosure document called a property report, which contains information about the subdivision. So just so you know, if they don't provide that, you ask them and they can't provide it, then it might not be a legitimate property. So that's good to know. All right, how does the Interstate Land Sales Full Disclosure work? It prevents fraudulent sales of property by regulating across state lines. It's administered by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and developers must register any subdivisions that have 100 or more non-exempt lots. Okay, so all those are true. If you need to take a screenshot, there you go. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is a sheet, and I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. So that's going to be our next lesson in this little unit. So if you're following along, you look for that in the title, and that'll be the next one in line. Thank you for watching.